Hi, I'm Margie and welcome back to my kitchen. What I've prepared today is celery stuffed with cream cheese. I'm going to show you how I prepare the celery and make the cream cheese to fill it, and how I decorate each piece of celery. It's a lot of fun, and it's a fun hors d'oeuvre to have with the football games coming and the World Series, and actually with the holidays coming up. On this video, I'm going to have some other appetizers as links, so you can take a look at those as well. So thanks for joining us today, and I'm going to get started right away. I have a head of celery, a bunch of celery. I'm not sure exactly. I guess it's a bunch of celery here. And I just cut the bottom off, and I am going to separate all the stalks out, and I'm going to bring them over to the sink to wash them very well. Now that everything is washed, I'm going to take my knife, my big Frenchy knife, and I'm going to cut the tops of the celery off, and I'm going to save them. But I'm also going to cut the very top of those off, and then I can just put all of those into a zippy bag and refrigerate for soups, or just for seasonings, or whatever I want to do. Here I want to show you that the bottom of the celery sort of looks like a rose. And what you can do is you can put it into water that you put food coloring into. See, I got some on my fingers. That was blue. You want to cover that little section of the celery, that's the bottom, with the water. And then you're going to add whatever color you really like to the water. But first you want to give this piece of celery a fresh bottom by cutting off the very bottom of the celery and make it fresh, so when it sucks up the water with the dye in it, it can do that more easily if you cut off the bottom. So you can give it a sort of a fresh cut. So you put it in the water and you'll add your food coloring. So here I have red food coloring, and I'm going to add that whole lot of it to the water and give it a stir. You can add blue or yellow, any color you like. I chose red because it looks like a rose. And if you let that sit overnight, then it will slowly suck up the dye. It's not going to turn bright red, but it's going to be very pretty. So give that a try and see how it works. And when you do put it on your tray, it's going to be just an accent, so it's not going to stand out. It'll be a little bit of an interesting little garnish. Here I have my celery all washed, and it's ready to do something I like to do. You don't have to do this, but I've always done this. My dad sort of trained us to do this because he likes celery with that doesn't have like the strings in it so much. So what I do is I'll just take my vegetable peeler and I will just peel the back of the celery off. It just makes it a little bit easier to eat. Like I said, this isn't necessary as long as your celery is very clean. And let me also make a suggestion that you really don't want to put these peelings down into the garbage disposal. Now I have an onion, and I'm going to grate this and get a little bit of onion juice. I don't want big pieces of onion in the cream cheese, because when I put it through a little like Wilton tip like this here, I don't want the onion to get caught up in the tip and not come out. So I'm just going to use the juice from the onion. I'm going to use a tool like this to just get the juice out. I'm just going to put it right across my plate. Don't even know if you can see that, but there's probably a good teaspoon or so of onion juice here. To make my filling, I have a Philadelphia cream cheese. This is 8 ounces. Just going to use the back end of a wooden spoon to mix it. This is a nice large container, and the cheese is room temperature. Here I have a 15-inch Wilton paper. I'm just going to make a bag. I have a video on how to do this. And I'm going to take a piece of tape and I'm going to wrap it around the bottom. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just put a piece of tape right around here. Just to keep it closed. I do that also because when I put the tip in, if I cut it and I squeeze, I don't want the bag to break because sometimes the cheese is a little bit harder and it just might tear the bag. This is a 1M Wilton tip. And if you drop it into the bag and you figure where the bottom is, you take your scissor. You can make a smaller cut at first and let it fall down, and you'll see that the tines aren't completely out of the end, so you can I'm actually going to cut it a little bit more. You don't want to cut it a little teeny bit. Taking a little teeny bit off makes a big difference. So look around and make sure that the bottom points, not the top points, but the bottom points are actually out of the bag. So when you squeeze the cheese out, it'll come out properly and make the right design. Now I want to clean up all my little papers. So now my bag is ready. I'll set that aside. And the cheese filling is really very simple. I'm just going to use a little bit of onion juice, a little bit of Worcestershire, and just mix it together. Give it a little flavor. Now this is just very, very fine onion. And that's everything. All these ingredients really are to taste. This is Worcestershire sauce. That's about a half a teaspoon I put in there. Now I'm just going to stir this in. I want to taste this a little bit. I want to make sure. Taste. I'm going to add a little more Worcestershire and a little more onion. You can always add more. You can't take it out. The last ingredient I'm going to add is a little red pepper. Could add a little jalapeno that is grated the same way that I grated the onion. That's very good. Now I'm going to take this cream cheese and I'm going to put it in my bag. I almost got all of it in there. When you close your bag, there's the seam. Turn your seam toward you and fold it down and fold it towards you, and then from the very top roll it down and then squeeze it until you see cream cheese coming out. Then you can decorate your, I'm going to put them right on my, I'll just put them right here because they're so long. You can decorate these any way you want. You can put little stars in them. You can go back, you can make like a like a border on a cake. You can go back and forth. Add a little bit more. Now that we're done filling these up, it would be a good idea to refrigerate them for just a little while before you cut them. So I'm going to put them on a plate. Put them right on this onion plate. Because then the cream cheese will harden up. And when you cut them, they'll cut very nicely. I'll even cover them for right now. These have been in the refrigerator for about a half hour or so, and so now I can cut them. I wouldn't cut them in more than, say, 2-inch pieces, 1.5-inch pieces. And you can set them on a plate. Let's do the star one. So when the cream cheese is a little stiffer, it's just very nice. You can also wipe off your knife in the middle of cutting so you get a nice clean cut. The very last thing I like to do is put a little bit of paprika on top just for color. So I'm just going to put a little in the palm of my hand and just sprinkle a little teeny bit on each one so I don't get it all over the plate. It actually adds a little more flavor as well. But just want a little bit for color. And there you go.